it go. Let's in the morning, wait, hang, that's people trying to enter your brain. This is what you gotta do if you hear people just try to say. And I hold that ruler, and I aim for the sky. When I'm in wide, with me in the eye, tell me a lie. Fuck you, shit, I shoot my knife. And I know I take your life if you gon' try. And I know I'm destined to die. I go by the code, and I know I'm down with the ruler. Half the shit you facing, you really don't know what you doing. On side, I'm out there like don't talk me. Ask about me, I put things up in motion. On side, who want it? I'm about there like don't talk me. Ask about me, I really put things up in motion. Put things up in motion.
Hey guys, it's Devin. I'm back with another video. I'm trying to pick up the pace now that I've got my bike and stuff fixed up and dialed in somewhat. But I've got a pretty well-known local rider up in the Tennessee area, Chris Brewer. How are you, buddy?
Doing awesome, Devin. Glad to hear you got your bike all where you want it and ready to rock and roll.
Yes, sir. I'm just glad to have a bike, man.
I know the feeling, brother. I know the feeling. They don't give those things away nowadays.
All right, man. I want to buy one of them shirts. Where can I get one of them at?
This is an FXR team shirt right here. So you'd have to be a FXR sponsored rider to get one of these. So,
well, I'm
matter
only
of fact,
maybe...
they don't even make this one anymore. This particular shirt they don't even make anymore. So there's only a couple of us have it. But it's one of the shirts I got when I was working with Brownie. Helping Brownie there for a while, and it's been 19, 20, and 21 while I was dealing with my injury. So I was playing his little helper hand, little pit man, or whatever you want to call it. It was a lot of fun. I mean, me and Mike's been friends my entire life pretty much. We raced mini bikes together. Him and my little brother were main competitors, and I was a class above Mike at the time. So it was pretty cool. So we've just kept that friendship for the last 30-something years.
I hear you.
Pretty awesome.
So, Chris, give us a little bit of a background about you.
Well, I'm just an old country boy that likes to ride dirt bikes. Now, I've done a lot of racing back in the early years, back in the early 80s, especially at Muddy Creek. I mean, I was pretty well known at Muddy Creek. Made my way up to the A classes. Went to Loretta's in 86. Didn't have much luck. Bunch of flats, broken chains. Shortly after that, had a bunch of injuries come about. Dad kind of fell on some tough times, so it kind of ended my racing career right at the beginning of it being so good.
Yeah,
I wasn't able to win a couple big races. The big Pepsi Eastern Continental Championship we had at Muddy Creek, I think it was the first year they had it. I was a big A class winner, won that one. There was people from everywhere. Big 40 rider gate, which was pretty awesome. Had a couple big invitations when they had the Pro National at Muddy Creek. I got to be invited 2 years in a row to what they called the Legends of Muddy Creek. They put up a big tent for us, and we all got to come to watch the race for free. And it was Mike Brown was there, Damon Bradshaw was there, Eddie Adair. I was trying to think of all the different people. Mark Gentry was there, Ron Warhead Jones, Kerry Jones. I mean, all the who's of Muddy Creek throughout the years was there. We all got to hang out and see each other, but we hadn't seen each other in forever and a day. So that was pretty good. And Chad Lowe was there, and a bunch of them. That's pretty much me in a nutshell. Now I'm just an old vet rider that just likes to go fast when I can and take care of my little race team, BREWER Racing, which is me, my son, my daughter, and Brandon Buckner. He's a member of the team, and Bo Hughes, he's a member of the team too. We just like to do a lot of racing.
I hear you. You mentioned a name that I'm very familiar with, Damon Bradshaw.
Yes, sir.
You know, he was from the Charlotte area.
Yeah, man.
Do you remember any of the tracks that used to be in Charlotte?
Well, there was Metrolina Speedway, which was just down the road from. It was not necessarily in Charlotte, but it wasn't far away from it. It's one of the biggest places where I ended up running. When we was riding the 80s, me and Damon battled each other more than once there. The next closest one that I can remember is probably not even close to Charlotte though, but it's Anderson, South Carolina, Succession Motocross Park. There's another really big racetrack in that area. I don't remember many of the District 13 tracks, to be honest with you. You got to remember, during my heyday, I was 14 years old. I didn't care about nothing but wide open and what pretty girls was around. I didn't care. Dad took me to the tracks, and I didn't care what track we went to. Hammer on. I mean, that 14-year-old pro with money in his pockets running out of both pockets, because I won a lot of races back then. I didn't care. It
Yeah.
didn't matter to me.
Now, what's the difference that you're noticing now than what it was, say, 20, 30 years ago? And it's not even about the negative stuff, but what's different within the sport of motocross that you can see compared to what used to be 20, 30 years ago?
Well, of course, the bikes are different. You know, that's a major difference right there. I mean, a 2-stroke bike don't tire the track up near as much as a 4-stroke does. So your promoters have to work a lot harder. They have to be a lot smarter about how they prep the tracks, how they take care of the tracks, what they need to do for the tracks to accept the new bikes. You know, 2-strokes, you can run all day long, 2 days in a row if you wanted to, without hardly doing anything to the track. They just don't chew it up. You know, it's all about flow. It's all about maintaining that momentum. Whereas with the 4-strokes, it's a lot of stop, quick, turn, and they just so much torque, it just chews it all in pieces. So that would be the number one thing that I've noticed. Number two thing is the pace. 4-strokes has made it easy. Everybody can go fast. So you got to go really fast to win now. So, I mean, it's made the competition really, really hard and really fast, which in turn makes the injuries a lot worse, especially for an older rider. I mean, a lot of people, when I tell them I run the 40, 45, and the 50 plus class, they're like, well, you know, that's the old man's classes. That's true. But Mike Brown can still run top 10 in any pro race in the country. And I have to race him at Loretta's in the 50 plus class. So anybody that says just because it's a plus class, it's a slow class, they don't know what you're talking about.
No.
Let's see, what's another major difference? This one might this might make a lot of people upset, but I guess one of the main differences I noticed back in my early years, and I don't know if it's because I was a young 14-year-old kid, but nobody cared what the track was like. They didn't care if it's hard packed. They didn't care if it's deep. They didn't care if it's sand. Turn us loose. Let us race.
They didn't care if it was raining, snowing, sleeting, lightning.
Yeah. Don't care. Now, lightning would always shut it down. That's just, that could kill somebody. But
yeah.
Never did I ever remember me and my dad, which was my mechanic at the time, one of the greatest mechanics I'll ever know, probably. I never remember me and him ever sitting down talking about track conditions, ever. It was never a topic. And I mean, he might ask me if it was getting rough, if he needed to change something on my suspension. But as far as, man, I wish they'd plow this corner over here, it's getting too slick, or man, this is too deep over here. And that was never, or I wish they put more water down, it's too dusty. That was never a concern. Nowadays, man, that is all you hear. The poor old track promoters. I wouldn't want to be one.
No, they're getting bashed too much. And you're on a good topic, which I want to bring up a local track in my area. I don't know if you've been to it, but Top Gun in Lincolnton. Warren Doyle bought it last year, and from what I heard was in years past, it was just so hard packed, and you couldn't really rip it deep because there were water lines for the sprinklers around the track underground. But when we first started racing that track, I mean, I'll be the first to admit it. It was in rough condition, dude. It get super dry and dusty to the point where you can't see it. But now he's gotten to the point where he's really taken the time to really work in that track throughout the week. He's watering it. He's mixing it with different dirt, sawdust, mulch, and during the weekday practices, sometimes you'll have 6-7 lines going into a turn that's this deep.
That's awesome.
Compared to just slick surfaces, which from a beginner standpoint, that's what I liked when I first started with dirt bikes. I liked it when it was just flat. You didn't have to deal with the ruts and stuff. And now it's gotten to the point where if I don't rail a rut or maintain my momentum going through a rut, I get pissed off at myself.
Right.
Because, instead of avoiding a rut because it's too deep, you really need to go through it because it's going to save you time in the long run. But, yeah, the track conditions have definitely changed on how they prep the track and stuff.
Well, and like I said, the people in general, I'll never understand why the complaint. Let's use Muddy Creek for a good example. They had to cancel their practice day.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that they did not want to cancel practice day. That's money they lost. All right.
Yeah.
However, forecast showed all this rain coming, all this stuff coming. So Sam took a chance. He's like, look, if I don't cancel this, I got people coming 8, 9, 10 hours away.
Yeah.
If I don't cancel it now and it comes a flood and the next morning I have to cancel practice in order to have a track to race on Sunday, these people that drove all this time is going to be pissed.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just go ahead and let it hurt my wallet, not get the fees for practice and cancel it early. So the people who have to travel can wait if they want to and come up the next day.
Yeah.
Me personally, I thought that was brilliant of Muddy Creek. I thought that was great. And there was so many people bashing them over that it was unreal. And my thoughts on that are, it's hard enough to be a promoter in this sport. I mean, it's hard. It's hard work to get the track the way you want it. It's hard to get it to do what you want it to do. It takes a lot of work. And if everybody keeps bashing them and slamming them and beating on them, eventually they're just going to say, you know what? I don't have to do this. I'll shut the doors. Y'all can have fun somewhere else.
Yeah. And we've seen too many tracks do that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see more tracks closed because it's getting limited as it is.
Yes, sir. And you know, I know it's a lot of it costs money. I mean, the fees cost. It costs to get in the gate. It costs to race. It all costs money.
And what the riders don't know is how much money it takes behind the scenes to run these tractors, bring in dirt, pay your staff, pay the flaggers.
Well, not just that. Those guys that run those tracks are in that business to make a living. You know, they're not there to just break even. They're not there to just come even. They're there to make money. And if they can't make money, then who's going to do it? I mean, I'm looking at it as a business aspect. And if I can't make money doing it, then I'm not going to do it. So I'm supposed to make money. I hear so many people say, oh, hell, he made plenty of money this week. He don't need it. Well, that's what it's about, is making money.
Yeah. I mean, it's nothing in this world is free anymore. I mean, it never has been. And prices of everything's just going up.
Now don't mislead this and think I'm defending all track promoters, because there's some bad stuff to it too. But in the general, a person has to be thankful that we have a place to race. And I hear so many people say, I'll just go pay a practice track. I could ride more seat time for less money and so on. Awesome. More power to you. I'm not going to say anything about it. However, what I am going to say is, what are you practicing for if you're not going to go race?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
Me, I'm a racer. I could give a rat's butt less about going practicing at a practice track. I can't run my pace. I'm just not made that way.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, here's a good little story. We was at Fast Farms, awesome track down in Altamont, Tennessee. I mean, it's an absolute nuts track. It's deep, it's rough, and it's big old ruts. And I mean, it's nice. And we went there for a 2-day event, practice day, and then a race day. Well, on practice day, one of the guys that I compete with he was eating me up. I mean, he was laying it on me. He stayed right on top of me. So at the end of the day, he's like, oh boy, Brewer, I got you. I'm all over you. So we're good. Well, the next day we line up, the gate drops, and whoo, I'm gone. He comes up and he says, you were sandbagging me. You weren't riding like that yesterday. I was like, no, sir, I was not. I promise you. I was going just as hard as I could yesterday, but when the gate drops, something changes in me. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, and when I go to practice, I'm not going to give it my all. I'm going to get out there, get comfortable with the track, make sure my bike's good to go. But come race day, as soon as I wake up, man, my mind's just empty. I'm focused on the track. I'm focused on who I'm racing against. I'm watching them during practice. I'll do one round of practice, which is I typically sign up for 2 classes. I sign up for 250D, 450D, and 25 plus. I'll use my 25 plus practices and motos to just get a feel for the track. And then my 450D is more just, all right, let's get your speed up. And then my 250D, which is the class I'm really chasing points for right now. And it showed last week at 221 that
Sorry about that.
I've got the speed. I may not show it a lot, but when I do, you're going to know it. I had people come up to me and was like, okay, so what'd you change? Did you change sprockets? Did you change tires? What'd you do to get so much faster? I said, honestly, I didn't really change anything. I was just focused. My mind was there and it wasn't wandering anywhere else. As soon as I got a good start, I came out second. I didn't even look behind me. I just knew, just keep going, keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. Because I'm still itching for that first win, Chris.
I bet you are, man. I bet you are.
I posted a race recap, and I even posted a picture of me smiling, which hardly anybody gets to see me smile anymore. But
that's right. I saw that post where you said that about nobody gets to see you smile anymore. I remember that now.
Yeah, I was super proud of myself. I know in my first moto, I finished 11th. I just was not feeling it. I kept on popping out of the ruts. So after that race, did some suspension adjustments and just really dialed the bike in, and it hooked up. So I went for 11 and 3, which overall me at 5th, which I was happy with.
Well, I would have been too. That's a big improvement from 11 to 3rd.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just me or other people can relate, but I'm inconsistent as hell in the first motos.
Well, I mean, you got the jitters, man. You got the jitters. You got the excitement of it being the first moto. We'll touch on something that you mentioned earlier. If you get that good start, let's say you come out in second, right? I mean, you're right on somebody, and your thoughts were your mind stays right in it. You don't wander.
Yeah.
Well, you ever considered maybe your mind's not in it at that point? You're just focused on the rider in front of you and letting the bike flow. So you're feeling the flow and the rhythm. You're focused on catching that rider. You're not looking at the ground going, oh, Lord, there's that rut. I need to do this. I need to use this clutch. I need to use this brake. I need to do that. All you're thinking is, there's the carrot. I got to go get it.
Yeah.
So that's where you're not paying attention to what you're doing. You're letting your muscles do the work, and you're going on and doing what you need to do versus coming from behind.
Yeah.
I mean, I fall into that from time to time. I get a whole shot and I'm out front. Sometimes it's hard to relax. Sometimes it's like, oh, yeah, where is everybody? Where is everybody? But let me fall down in the first turn. I'll turn faster laps than I have all day long coming from behind.
Yeah. Let's I want to touch subjects on Muddy Creek again and the way the track turned out 2 weeks ago. I mean, it wasn't what first moto win and they had ruts. Like it really looked like a national caliber track again.
Dude, that place was crazy. I was first practice of the day. And I was loving the track. I was like, holy crap, I'm just wide open everywhere. I'm loving it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
By third practice session, the third group it went out, all that nice dry dirt wasn't dry no more. It was wet and it was running deep. I was like, what the heck happened?
Yeah.
I'm assuming all that moisture from underneath was there and just the top layer was kind of frozen because it got so cold. And once it stalled out and mixed, whoo, Lord of mercy, it got interesting.
And I like them tracks. It's like I said in the beginning.
I enjoyed the track a lot. And considering what we had weather-wise to work with, it blew me away how well it was. Now,
I know it.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I know all about it. I headed up that way that Friday as soon as I got off work. And there's times I had to pull over on the side of the highway or the interstate because I couldn't see out in front of me. And I was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to regret coming up here. I don't know what it's going to be because I don't go to Muddy Creek very often. It's either I don't have a race or a certain series I run that weekend and Muddy Creek will be open, I'll go up there. Or if it's with the Outlaw Series, I'll go up there. But I don't know. It not only is it the fact that you know that Muddy Creek has been on the pro schedule before, but it's also when you line up on the gate and you're thinking to yourself, okay, who's lined up here before?
That's right. That's right.
There's been so many riders to come through Muddy Creek, and that's made it into the big ranks. And it's just, as a kid, that's one of the tracks I always wanted to go to, and I was finally able to last year. And ever since then, I've just been hooked onto dirt bikes and stuff.
Well, for me, it's a little bit different with Muddy Creek. I raced Muddy Creek for the first time in 1978 as a young man. That was home for me. I lived in Elizabethton, Tennessee. Muddy Creek was 15 minutes from the house. That's what I cut my teeth on. So I've raced Muddy Creek forever and a day. That's home for me. Another really good vet rider that I raced against at Lake Sugar Tree, another great track. If you haven't been to Lake Sugar Tree, you need to make a trip. It's a great track, great place to ride.
Yeah, and I've definitely got that on my schedule for this year.
The guy that I raced with put it to me pretty good at Lake Sugar Tree. Now, granted, first time I've been there, it's different style track, blah, blah, blah. He got me. He laid it to me. 2 weeks later, maybe 3 weeks later, we met again at Muddy Creek. He comes up to me after the fact and says, "You're a different guy at Muddy Creek." I'm like, brother, this is home. This is home. I mean, this is all it is to it. I'm probably a good 3 seconds faster a lap at Muddy Creek than I am any other track I ride. And that's just because I feel so comfortable there.
Once you get comfortable on a certain track, and it's like you're coming into that track race day and okay, I've been here before. I don't need to stress a lot. So let's go ahead and let's go ahead and get that out of your head. Let's not focus on who your opponents are. Just go in there as yourself, do your thing, and let's go home safe.
You keyed on something right there. It's one of the number one points that I try to talk to every rider that I work with or try to coach or help. That is the first and most important thing that I try to make them focus on. You don't compete against the other riders ever. Mm-hmm. You compete against you and that track. If you come off that track and you feel like you give it everything you had, you didn't leave anything else on that track, you beat that track 100% of your ability, then you won the race as far as you're concerned, no matter what your position is. If you've done all you can do, that's all you can do. Now, next time, try to go a little bit faster and make you happy. It's all about making you happy. If you do that, you will succeed. You will be fine. You won't worry about who those riders are.
No. Have you been up to Kathy's Creek here lately?
I haven't been since last year. I guess it was last year, probably about the middle of last year we went. That's another track that surprised the piss out of me. We were there for a Saturday night race, and the clouds opened up that day while we were there. And there was rivers literally running across the track. I was like, boy, we're doomed. We can't have a track. That guy's so good with his track. We had a great track that night. I still don't know how he did it, but it was a great track. I mean, it was a little damp, of course. I mean, it was wet. Yeah. But Lord of mercy, it was a monsoon. I mean, that was a torrential downpour. And we still raced that night, and it was a great track. I mean, I thought it was going to be so bad, I done went and got my money back and said, "Now, y'all can have it." And then I regretted it because it turned out to be a really good racetrack.
Yeah. Before we move on, do you want to give any shout outs to your sponsors or family, friends, anybody that's helped you along the way?
Well, most definitely. I got to give my boy Mike Brown a big shout out. I mean, hell, Mike's kind of helped me get back to where I need to go right now. And if I was a little more situated where I needed to be, I could probably go down to Florida and train with him right now, which would be amazing because I'd have all kinds of big name guys with me, which would be awesome. Yeah. I can't. I got to work. I got my own little team going, so I had to give Mike a big help. Mike's probably the number one reason why we got the big FXR sponsorship. That helps tremendously. FXRs, if you've never wore their gear, you need to at least try it. Their gear is absolutely amazing. Not because they sponsor me, just because I think their gear is the best out there. I love it. Now they have been really good to me. We've been sponsored by them since 2016, and they treated us awesome. One of the main head honchos, Andy White, probably one of the nicest guys you'd ever want to meet. Then you got Rob, who runs the FXR Factory Superstore up in Minneapolis. So just super great people all the way around. Brad Herons, I guess you say his last name's right, Herons. He's the pro rider liaison. Excellent guy, does a super good job. All those guys at FXR. And then I've got to give my boys down at Knoxville Honda Suzuki Yamaha a big shout out. They took care of me every year for my new equipment, my new bikes. Traded in, done good deals trading with me. Chase Crutchfield, if you need to buy a new bike, he's the man to see down at Knoxville Honda. My boys at Jim's Motorcycle Sales, both Mr. Kirk Hayes, known him all my life. Me and Kirk raced against each other. We traded bikes against each other. Him and my dad banged heads against each other. I mean, you name it, they've done it. Let's see. And then, of course, my two little teammates, my son Zach, which runs a 450C and 25 plus, and my daughter Shelby runs the women's class and some 250D classes. So she might be in there with you every once in a while.
Oh God, I'm scared. Hey, I want to bring up. I want to bring up something. Last year, I did line up on the gate with her, and she annihilated me. And I got off the track, and my buddies were laughing at me about getting beat by a girl. I said, "Dude, listen, if there's a female out there on the track, and she beats me, hey, props to her. You know, some of these women out here will move faster and can take harder falls than some of these guys and get back up and still finish the race."
Yes, sir.
So Shelby, if you're listening to this, hey, keep doing what you're doing.
It don't matter about gender, man. It's all about who can turn that throttle, in my opinion. I mean, we've got some really fast female talent right now. Shelby Rowland's a good friend of ours. She is quick. Ain't no doubt about it. She is quick. Alicia Benson. Katie Benson, yeah. Alicia Goggles, another good friend of ours. It's another one of those top 5, top 6 at Loretta's runners. And Katie, you mentioned Katie. I mean, look who she's. I don't remember. Is she still coached by Jessica? Jessica Patterson still coaching?
She is. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, look at Jessica, for example. I mean, how many titles has she won? I mean, come on.
Numerous titles.
I mean, there's some fast girls out there, buddy. There's a bunch of them I don't want to line up with.
No, I agree with you. And let's not forget about Jessica Patterson and her training facilities she's got, you know, and they just started the series, Carolina Elite Series, which I think was last year was the first year, if I'm not mistaken, that they ran it. And yeah, the turnouts may have not been so great, but the tracks were awesome.
Hey, they're a little Traveler's Rest inside the dirt track. One of the funnest little night tracks you're ever going to want to ride. I mean,
it's got a lot of flow to it.
It does. And it's a lot of fun. And it seemed like they changed it every time I was there, which made it even that much better. So, I mean, it was awesome. I've yet to get to go down and ride their big track, but I've heard a lot of good stuff out of it.
I know April 8th is round 1 of their series, and they'll be at next level on the main track. Yeah. So I've got some jitters going and riding that main track, but as long as I'm consistent and go in there positive mindset, I think I'll be good.
Well, yeah, that's 90% of it is have a positive frame of mind, believe in yourself, and believe in the work. And I guess probably one of the biggest things that I could say is if you show up on race day knowing that you're prepared, you've done all the work that you needed to do Monday through Saturday to get to race day, then you should already be ahead of the game when you leave the starting line.
Yeah.
And if you show up on Sunday going, man, I should have trained a little harder last week. I don't know. I might get arm pumped the second lap, or I'm not going to be able to breathe by the 4th lap. You're already talking yourself out of that race. You can't have those doubts. A motocross racer can't have those doubts. You gotta be able to get on that starting line, lean up on that bike, and look this way, look that way. Yep, I'm the baddest MF on this line. I'm owning this. People say, yeah, that sounds a little bit cocky or whatever, but it's not. You truly have to believe that you're that guy.
You have to have self-confidence too. Let's talk about some Supercross. Have you been keeping up with it?
Don't miss it, buddy. That's for sure.
I hear you.
I've got quite a few buddies of mine, and I mean close buddies of mine that are out there getting it done. So I gotta watch them.
Hey, why don't you go to give them some shout outs?
My boy Marshall Welton, which is now riding for Progressive Suzuki. I mean, I can't say enough about Marshall. You know, all the success he had in Canada. He was second overall in the outdoor motocross last year before, was first in the Supercross. And he come here in the United States. We spent a lot of time doing arena crosses together. Marshall is unreal. I mean, super awesome guy. And then he had the opportunity. His story is what makes it awesome. And matter of fact, BCR, Brew Crew Racing, got to have their sticker running on his Yamaha YZ250 in the last class all of last year in the Supercross, which was pretty awesome. Well, that was pretty cool. It's the first time we got that. So he showed us as a sponsor of his, which was pretty awesome. And then, but anyway, how he got to that point was he loaded up. He's from Oakley, Michigan. He loaded everything up in a van and took off and drove and put himself strictly out of pocket and put himself the whole first season of the Lights 250 East was on out of his pocket. By what he did on that Yamaha, got him the ride, which was Twisted Tea. Now it's Progressive Suzuki, but got him the ride for them, kind of as a fill-in rider right at the end of the year. He ran all the outdoor motocross on it. And then right at the end of that season, he had tore his ACL, so he had to have surgery. So we weren't sure where it's going to go. While he was having surgery, Progressive said, look, dude, you've done such a good job. We're going to sign you to a full, legit, Progressive, full ride contract right here to be a 250 Lights rider for us. And that's where Marshall's at now, as he's now their 250 Lights rider. And he's been doing amazing. He's been running top tens. I mean, he's doing awesome.
That's awesome.
I've got him. Then we got Luke Neese. Surely you know Luke.
Yeah.
Man, me and his dad, Jimmy, we raced against each other our whole life growing up. I mean, we banged bars many times. And his mom, and Luke's doing really good. Devin Simonson, another local boy from down in the Carolinas, has been doing really good. Which I had a really, really good rider I was working with, Mr. Nick Gaines, which is now retired, but me and Nick done the big Corona cross, as we called it, where Corona hit. So we had to go spend 3 straight weeks in Salt Lake City, Utah, and race every 2 days to try to make it all work out. And Nick was doing great. He was running 7th in the main and fell in the whoops. Got an ACL separation, which ended our time. But it was still a lot of fun. I mean, going to the big show and working in the big area, that's pretty badass. So I gotta watch my language. I forget this live, but
you're good, boss.
It was a good time, man. That's for sure. But I gotta give those guys props. But I know you're wanting to get into the Lawrence saga going on here.
Oh my gosh, I want to talk about it. It's not only the Jet Lawrence, but it's also, the Deegan, Tomac. Let's get into
Jordan Smith thing. I know that's what you want to talk about.
First, I want to cover Jet Lawrence and Cameron McAdoo.
I got you.
I think it was last year or the year before last. I think it might have been Daytona or Atlanta. But when McAdoo had that rough night, yes. When he went over the handlebars and he just looked like a ragdoll, dude, I thought it was going to be something serious. I didn't think he was going to finish the night.
Dude, I thought that kid was dead. I was like, there's no way he survived that wreck.
I know. I thought he was dead too. And then for him to get back on the starting line, no number plate, just got done taking a hellacious crash. And for him to put the work he did in and shocked everybody.
Did you see his little interview where they were finding out if he was okay to go back to the track? And he just kept telling them, hey, I'm good, boys. I'm good. I'm good. I'm ready to ride. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. And
you're right. He ended up finishing top 3 for the night, as a matter of fact.
He did.
I mean, that was amazing.
What do you think led up to the McAdoo and Lawrence crash? Do you think it was line selection? Do you think it was just they both were committed going into the whoop?
The way I see it, and I've went back and looked at it a couple times. Of course, Jet made a beautiful pass on him, squared it up and come back down the inside and took his line away from him. And then because he run that inside, Jet had to double in. Well, everybody all night long, as they've been doubling in, when they go across the tabletop after that, they would kind of drift a little to the outside. So Cameron, being Cameron, he's like, well, I'm going to triple on and jump off of this baby and blow right back by him. That'll give me the inside into the next turn.
Yeah.
Okay, Jet was smart enough to know that's what he's going to want to do. So when Jet doubled, instead of fading, he stayed where he was at.
Yeah.
You see Cameron land on that tabletop. He checks just for a second, thinking, uh-oh, this might be bad. Jet squares up, tries to go a little straighter. At this point, they're both hoodooed. They're both committed. And their handlebars is what touched. If their handlebars hadn't touched, they'd have been fine. But once their handlebars boomed, it was over. So I say nobody was at fault. It was just a little bit aggressive. But hell, it's racing, man. You got to go for it when you get the chance.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're not, now there's a fine line between, you know, Rubbin's racing and then just over aggressiveness. Barsha. Anyways,
well, I want let's touch on that subject for just a second.
Okay,
poor old Barsha. Now, back in the day, and I'm talking 3 years ago, that was the Slam King.
Yeah, Bam Bam.
I mean, now he was the Slam King. Now he would slam you. But over the last 2 or 3 seasons, I think that poor old Barsha has got a bad rub. I mean, he has done very little in the terms of some of the other guys, like Jason Anderson, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, and nobody really says much. Barsha can just trade paint with them, and whoo, they are all over him, man. And I just think that's a little bit wrong in that aspect.
Yeah.
I mean, Barsha has really cleaned his act up compared to what he used to be.
I agree.
I mean, there was a time I can remember him T-boning the far out of Mookie. I mean, boom.
Yeah, I remember that.
And
I remember that.
I was like, man, what are you thinking? That didn't help neither one of you. So that was just crazy. And he hasn't done that. And as far as speed here lately, dude, I don't know what's got into that boy, but he's found the afterburners.
He has, most definitely. And when he's running top 3, whoever's in first, best believe that by the last lap, Barsha's going to be on his tail end.
And by all means, if it's the last lap of a main event, the old Bam Bam needs to come out if he needs to. I mean, we're talking purse money here. I mean, this is when it matters.
Yeah.
And that leads us into the Deegan Jordan Smith incident. Talking the Bam Bam thing. The only thing I can say about that particular incident is it didn't help neither one of them to do what they were doing. I think Jordan's emotions got a little out of hand on him, which hurt him. It caused him to run it in a little too hard on that last pass.
Yeah.
And I think Hayden was just being a little bit too, I'm winning this race, boys. I'm winning. I'm winning. I'm winning. He's a kid.
I mean, it looked like Hayden was having fun out there. I mean, they were just playing cat and mouse, but I do think Smith may have took it a little bit too personal.
I think he got a little heated under the collar. But now, as a team coach or a team manager, the first thing I would tell both of those guys, cat and mouse won't do nothing but get you passed by the guy in third place. That ain't gonna help nobody. You're a lot better off if you go on and just run your race. Okay, so you're both on the same team. It's a heat race. It don't mean a whole heck of a lot. You're both in a qualifying position. Somebody needs to have a little cooler head here and keep both our bikes in there from a team aspect. From a viewer's aspect, dude, it was awesome. It was cool to watch.
It was. I mean, I think we were. I forgot what track we were at, but we had stayed the night. We were sitting there watching it in the camper, and we had like maybe 10, 15 people in there just huddled up inside the camper. And it sounded like it was just roof blown off. I mean, and Hayden's got that excitement to give to the fans too.
Yep. Hayden's going to be something to contend with, boys, in the future. He's that kid's talented. He's extremely talented. He is coming with it.
Ever since I've been watching his YouTube for years, and I really started paying more attention to him and being consistent with watching him and listening for updates. Probably about 3 or 4 years ago. And me and my fiance, we sit in the bed at night, and she'll be like, "Hey, see if Deegan's posted another video." And she's not, I'm not going to say she doesn't like dirt bikes or motocross, but I think with me racing and stuff, it's kind of brought her into the whole scenario. But she'll be over there on her side of the bed just cheering him on.
Well, that's awesome. Brian posted a little 5-minute video just a little while ago today of Hayden out there training, and I have to agree with Brian. As he's maturing, he's getting stronger. As he's getting stronger, he's getting faster.
And he's getting dangerous.
Go together, you know, and he's getting some speed on him. I mean, it's going to be, Hunter's going to have to watch himself. He's coming.
Oh yeah,
he's coming.
Sure.
I mean, Jet don't have to worry about it so much. He's fixing to jump up to a 450 here at the end of this season, which I feel sorry for all those 450 guys.
Yeah.
Jet Lawrence that's a force to be reckoned with.
He's a different breed, man. I mean,
The coolest thing about Jet that I've noticed is if you look at Jet Lawrence, you look at Chase Sexton ride, they look like identical twins on the bike. Their body, their form, their basic fundamentals on the bike is flawless. Their body's never out of position, which blows my mind how Chase wrecks all the time, because he has some of the best style on that bike of anybody I've ever seen. Him and Jet both, and Hunter too. Hunter looks just like him. And it's amazing to me is what is going on with Chase Sexton. It's killing me.
Do you think it's more like he's dealing with something mentally when he's racing? Like, do you think he's trying too hard? Do you think he's not being consistent? Do you think it's bike placement?
I'm on the fence on two of those topics you just said. Sometimes I think maybe when he gets those big leads is when it seems to happen, is that he relaxes a little too much and gets to flowing and don't hit his lines, don't hit his marks, you know, doesn't connect A, B to C. Sometimes he'll go to A, C, then to D.
Yeah.
Causes it. But on the other hand, I can't decide if maybe he's pushing the envelope too hard. You've got that big lead, now relax a little, flow, manage, you know, do like Eli does. Eli will get a 3-second lead and he'll manage that. He'll keep it right there. He won't push to make it a 5-second or a 7. He'll keep it right there. And then if he notices they're gaining, he'll step it back up again.
Yeah.
So I can't.
And that's all part of maturing throughout your career too. I mean, you're every time I go and ride, I learn something new.
Yes, sir. The minute you stop learning, you better quit. You're in trouble.
Yeah.
If a man shows up thinking he knows it all, he's in trouble. I mean, I'm 52 years old and I learn something new every time. Matter of fact, we were talking about Muddy Creek. You know, I thought I knew every bump, every rock, everything there was on Muddy Creek. Well, I found out on lap number 3 of my 50+ class, there's a soft spot on the backside of that tabletop under the Muddy Creek sign, because I hit it. And it was like somebody stuck a stick in my front tire, and I went tumbled about 30 feet in the air and landed flat on my back, knocked the wind out of me, bruised some ribs, took me out of a win. And I had about 3-second lead out front. All I had to do was just be chilling, and I was not chilling. I just
I took a couple of tumbles. So you're talking about, so coming out of the rollers, you'll have that right hand turn, you have that little tabletop, and you go uphill, turn left, then you got the spectator tabletop, and you got that step up, and then you got either you can hit that little off camber or you can go to the right and miss it. You're talking about once you hit the off camber and your front wheel dived in, it just felt like it stuck.
Not the off camera though. You know, you got the FMF, you got the big sweeper, then you got the tabletop, and you land on the downslope of it. Well, I was like one of the only guys that was fully sending that thing all day, and I found me a spot where I could land and then preload and bounce over the soft spot. Well, that one particular lap, for some reason, who knows, I just decided I was going to give it a little extra pepper. And instead of landing short and bouncing over it, I landed right in it, right on the downslope. My bike stayed up on the jump. I ended up at the pond at the bottom on my back. I couldn't breathe. That was not fun. It was nasty. As an old man, that was not nasty. But thank God to all my off-season work, all the hours I've spent in the gym, all the 62 pounds I've dropped, all the core training I've done to get my body where it's at. All those muscles done their job, protected me, and I didn't break nothing. I was able to get back up, finish the moto. Had that been 2 years ago, when I was riding out of shape and half injured, I'd have left it in an ambulance more likely.
Yeah.
So all these guys out here riding that aren't training, by all means, please train. Work core. Just if you don't do nothing but lay in your your living room floor and do push-ups, sit-ups, and core training, something to strengthen your core. It will save you.
Yeah. Let's get back on to the Supercross. I know that you